Let's welcome N.C. Majima to the stage again. Well, which way is going to go?
No.
Except I'm a man, so I'm going to
We have no idea what's going to happen.
Well, we know the story. More or less.
More or less.
Who wants to start? Me? Okay. The last time I started this, she said, I don't know what story you said. Well, I can't say that I saw it, but I heard it from a friend who was living next door to a fella who saw it happen. And over the fence, he told my friend, who then told me, so I can tell you, this happened. Now, when he came into town, he came with a barrel, a bushel. He had the nicest furniture. There was 12 teams of mules pulling every wagon, wagon after wagon after wagon after wagon. Everybody was going, holy moly, who's coming into town? And then there was the last figure cutting on a nice green velvet coat, hat looking dapper, stepper, horse plowing. Every woman went, Mr. Fox was moving in.
Now, Mr. Fox was a good-looking man. There was no doubt about that. When he smiled, his teeth were pearly white, and the sun would shine on his teeth and bing, would blind your eyeballs. And young women would look at him, and he'd look at them, and he'd say, why, hello, darling. And they'd say, every young woman wanted Mr. Fox's attention, but there was one young woman who already felt she had his heart. When all his goods were brought through town, she already knew that he had asked for her hand in marriage. Her name was Mary, and her brothers thought that a marriage between Mary and Mr. Fox would be a really good thing.
Now, Mary lived with her 3 brothers. And Mary was beautiful and charming and delightful. And before Mr. Fox had come to town, she'd had many, many suitors. But once Mr. Fox appeared, they all seemed to drift away. Because Mary, when she looked at Mr. Fox's dark hair and his piercing eyes, and he had such an air of sophistication that was rarely seen in their town, oh yes, Mary liked Mr. Fox the best.
Now, of course, when he come calling, they'd be in the parlor together talking as things do, young men and women, you know. But, of course, they wouldn't have anybody improper happening, so there was always Grandma. Now, on this occasion, when Grandma heard that the stew was boiling, just a minute, she went in the other room. That's when Mr. Fox turned, he went, ding. He put his hand on hers, Mary Ellen. I heard her name was Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen. Oh, Mr. Fox. Oh. Now, you know I like you. And you know where I live. Everybody knew he lived in the big house, the big plantation house, top of the hill, all decked out, all been working up there for months. Everybody in town was employed by Mr. Fox to make that house something special. You know where I live. Anytime you want to come visit, just drop on by. Ding.
Well, the proposal had been made, and Mary Ellen hadn't gone to his house yet. But her family was making the wedding plans. Her brothers were so happy for her, and she thought, well, at least I should go and see the house that will soon be mine, too. I'll surprise Mr. Fox. I'll go up there and see the house and maybe tidy up just a bit so he'll know what a good wife that I will be. And she made her way up the hill toward that fine plantation house. She walked very slowly thinking of the treasure that it would be for her. And when she got to the house, she realized there was a wall all the way around it and a gate. And on the top of the gate were the words, "Be bold, be bold."
She thought that was rather strange. Well, she pushed her way through the gate, it opened, and she walked up those great stone steps. And there were the heavy doors, and she knocked, but there was no answer. And she thought, well, I'm sure Mr. Fox wouldn't mind if I just came in for a short while. After all, this is going to be my home. He's going to be my husband. I'll just stay a short while. So she turned the knob, and the door opened. And she walked in, and oh, it took her breath away. The rich plush carpets, the dark, fine wood, and the furniture, the oil paintings on the wall. She had never been in a room so beautiful.
Dining room, kitchen, everything was bigger than she'd ever seen. There was a table she could almost skate on. She came around the other side, there was an atrium full of plants inside. And I asked him, my bags and that. Came around the other side, Mr. Fogg, it's Marilyn. Up those big stairs, kind of wide at the bottom, looked like a curlicue, a pedal coming down, all thin at the top, down like that. Mr. Fogg, thought you was in a movie. Hello, Mr. Fogg, Mr. Fogg, Mr. Fogg, Mr. Fogg. Nobody there. Big long hallway. She walked down the hallway. Well, I wonder if he's down here. She came to this door at the end of the long hall. What's the door down there? She didn't see nothing because she saw down there. She came to that door. There was something funny because when she took her hand, said, be bold, but not too bold. She said, well, how will I know how bold is too bold if I'm not bold enough? I'll just stick my head in. And she pushed on the door, and you know what it sounded like?
And that didn't frighten her a bit, because she thought she would be bold, but not too bold. And she went through that door, and there was another door, a door that wasn't as polished and clean as the rest of the doors in the house. And over that door were a lot of words. And she had to get a bit closer to read them. And they said, be bold, but not too bold, lest your heart's blood run cold. I've got to see what's in this door, she said to herself. And so she opened that door too. And Mary Ellen walked in and realized that perhaps she'd been a bit too bold. Because inside she saw...
Well, it was hard to tell at first because it was so dark. So as her eyes got used to the darkness, she thought, well, there's not really normal furniture in this room. She thought perhaps it was a closet, but no. It appeared that there were 3 very large, round, tall vats. Well, that was odd. What could they hold? She went to the first one, and she reached up and felt, and inside she could feel, well, it felt like hair, long human hair. And she went to the second vat and reached in, and why, it had to be bones, human bones.
Only tell it the way I heard it from my friend whose friend said it happened near them. And when I heard it, she said, I can't tell you. I can only show you. And when she put her hand into the third vat,
and she hid herself underneath the stairs as Mr. Fox dragged that poor young woman up toward those steps. And the young woman fought and fought, trying to break free from Mr. Fox. And Mary Ellen covered her mouth so that she wouldn't scream. Mr. Fox was dragging that young woman up the steps, and she was fighting so hard that he decided he'd had enough. And he pulled out his knife, and he cut off her hand. And as the blood poured from the stump of her arm, the hand did a kind of a double flip in the air, bounced onto the floor, landed in Mary Ellen's lap. Disgusting situation. But she stayed as quiet as she could. And then she decided she would try to escape.
She waited until Mr. Fox dragged that young woman into the room, slammed the door, and all was quiet. And then Mary got up, tiptoed to the door, let herself out, and then she ran. And she ran faster than she had ever run in her whole life. And she ran and she did not stop until she reached her own house. The following Sunday, Mr. Fox came to call. And Mary sat in the parlor with him, and all her brothers sat with them.
Well, Mr. Fox was growing a bit impatient, spreading the room around with all those people sitting there. He finally said, Mary Ellen, you know why I've come. I love you. I want you to be my bride. What do you say? Family's right here. Say it right now. Let's get to the wedding. She said, Mr. Fox, before I say yes to you or no or whatever we're going to do, you've got to hear my dream. What? Oh, yes, I had a dream, Mr. Fox. Well, then you spell your dream to me. I can see some things inside of dreams. Go on. Come on. I walked up the hill towards your house. Little picket fence, nice gate. Be bold, be bold. Push it open, went up the steps. Everything was nice, Mr. Fox. Walked in the house. What was above that door? Be bold, but not too bold. I walked around the house, Mr. Fox. Everything was wonderful. Sorta. What do you think about that, Mr. Fox? Mr. Fox was starting to break out a little bit. His hair was starting to, from that nice, slick, curvy, nicely combed, slick face that he had, the hair was starting to kind of puck up and pop up a little bit. His lip, it was always curled like that, so nice, it was starting to kind of twitch a little bit. His eyes were starting to lose their focus. his hands started clawing at the table. He said, "Never was. It'll never be that way, Mary Ellen. It never happened. Never that way, never at all." I'm not done, Mr. Fox. Because then I walked up those stairs, and I walked down that long hallway, and I came to that other door, and it said, be bold, not too bold. I walked inside. And then there was another door, be bold, not too bold, and I walked inside. What's about that, Mr. Fox? Oh, he wasn't looking so good. He was starting to itch like crazy. His collar was starting to pop open. A few hairs were starting to pearl up. One of the buttons, bing, bing, bing. Don't mean nothing, never was, never will. Don't mean nothing. I'm not done, Mr. Fox. Then she talked about the 3 barrels and walking down the stairs, and then I saw a woman being pulled up the stairs. When you never happened, never was, never will, never gonna happen, Mr. Fox. Oh yeah, then how do you explain this?
There was the hand of that poor girl sitting on the table, and Mr. Fox could hardly breathe. As he looked at the hand, he tried to deny everything that happened. It was not so. It is not so. God forbid that it ever be so. She said, it's so, see? It was so, and it is so, and it will be so. For my dream was not a dream, and now I know you, Mr. Fox. And all her brothers began to rise as Mr. Fox tried to move away from the table and the proposal and the truths that were now known by everyone. All those brothers rose and moved toward Mr. Fox.
And those brothers, they took Mr. Fox out back. Now, in my version, I don't say what they did to him, but I know you'd want to hear. So I'm going to let Jeff tell you.
I don't know what I know except for what I heard from my friend whose neighbor lived next to the man who saw it happen. And what I heard was, after they pounded and beat and kicked him into a pulp, Grandma came forward and said, I don't know what or who, where you come from, but I know where we're sending you. And you better say your last piece. That's when my friend's friend who said that Fox man spit on Grandma. And what bones weren't broke before, you can be sure they were broke by the end of the next session. And then those farm boys pulled out the big plow horses, and they put what was left of a rope around the leftovers of one wrist and then the other wrist and the 2 ankles, and aimed those horses in 4 different directions and left it up to Mary Ellen, who inflicted the benediction. Mr. Fox, it was so. It is so. It'll never be so again. Giddy up. And they took off in 4 directions. And as I heard it, that was the end of Mr. Fox.